Welcome back to CNN. We are staying across two major stories on the network today. One, of course, is the search for missing Malaysian Airlines Flight 370. We are also keeping our eye on the courtroom there in Pretoria, where the session has currently been adjourned. Right now, the prosecution is cross-examining Oscar Pistorius. That has been adjourned for a little while. We don't know how long yet, but they are expected to return at any moment. Of course, we'll take you back there live when they do. But let's bring you up to date on some of the other stories that are also making news today. The world's biggest automaker is recalling more than 6 million vehicles. Toyota announced the global recall today. It says it's to inspect and fix possible problems with steering and seat rails. The Japanese automaker says it's not aware of any accidents or crashes caused by those issues. This is Toyota's second major recall this year. 26 people were killed and more than 40 injured when a bomb exploded near a fruit market in the Pakistani capital, Islamabad. There has been no claim of responsibility yet for the attack. The explosion happened as vendors were setting up stalls for the day's trading. Last month, the Pakistani Taliban announced a ceasefire that it said would last until Wednesday. Russia says there is no reason for concern over the presence of its troops along the border with Ukraine. Despite this assurance, the EU will hold a high-level meeting next week with U.S., Ukrainian and Russian tension is growing in eastern Ukraine. CNN's Nick Payton-Walsh went to the city of Donetsk to find out who the separatists are and what they want. Stay with us here on CNN. We'll be right back. Oscar Pistorius' murder trial is back in session. Let's take you back there now live to Pretoria.
My lady. You and Mr. Hooghart, the shooting shotgun.
He was taken into police custody after he shot and killed Riva Steenkamp. And he's continuing to plug holes into that testimony, specifically about when Oscar Pistorius said he never went onto the balcony because you wouldn't be able to hear, according to the prosecution, you wouldn't be able to hear if someone was in the bathroom if he was on the balcony. There was on the affidavit, the original affidavit, he said that he went onto the balcony to bring the fan that was kept there before they went to bed that night to bring it in. So the prosecution is trying to plug holes into those specific statements. Let's take you now, get some analysis on this with CNN's legal analyst, Kelly Phelps, who's outside the courthouse in Pretoria. So Kelly, so we see here now we're looking at even very specific words, such as whether he was on the balcony, he went onto the balcony, or whether or not he wasn't even on the balcony to bring this fan in, because again, it's about painting this picture about where he was and whether or not he was telling the truth.
Absolutely, and the other aspect that pertains to the truth with this kind of tactic and approach is also
what is becoming problematic, though, for the prosecution, or perhaps potentially problematic for the prosecution, Kelly, was the earlier tactic, I should say, of showing a photograph, a very graphic photograph of Riva Steenkamp just about 45 minutes to an hour ago. Again, a very graphic photograph of the night Riva Steenkamp was shot. Showing that photograph, what kind of a, I guess, tactic was the prosecution trying to take here?
Look, I think it was a misstep. The tactic that he's trying to do is to unsettle Pistorius from the outset.
All right, Kelly, thank you so much. Kelly Phelps there in Pretoria, CNN's legal analyst there outside the courtroom in Pretoria. Now, as we were mentioning to you before, the court has broken for lunch. They will resume in about an hour. And of course, we'll take you back there live when they do resume session. And Oscar Pistorius will resume taking the stand after lunch, again, in about an hour. I'm Monita Rajpal. We will take you now to CNN, our domestic sister network, CNN US, for New Day and more on the disappearance of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. Take a listen.
Angus, Houston is, some people suggest it's because they're further away, but Houston says no. He believes it's because the batteries are now starting to get weaker.
So here